A big shout out to today's sponsor, Jenny Kane. Fall is right around the corner, and if you're anything like me, you're ready for a wardrobe refresh. Jenny Kane is the ultimate California brand. They've got your back with effortlessly chic fall essentials. Think cozy sweaters, versatile dresses, and those perfect lightweight layers. Plus, they've got your home covered with incredible essentials too. And here's the best part. For a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their first order. Just go to jennykane.com and use code OVER50 for that exclusive discount. Jenny Kane is all about embracing the beauty of simplicity. Their emphasis is on comfort, top-notch quality, and timeless designs. Find your forever pieces at jennykane.com. Our listeners get 15% off your first order when you use code OVER50 at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at jennykayne.com, promo code OVER50. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about.
Our next partner is AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. You are looking at an AG1 enthusiast right here. It is not just a supplement, it's a ritual that I cherish every single day. So why did I dive into the world of AG1? All right, brace yourself. It's because I was done with the supplement shuffle. You can say goodbye to a bunch of pills and hello to a single powerhouse solution that'll nourish your body from head to toe. We're talking a happier gut, a burst of energy, and oh, the best part? It tastes absolutely fantastic. So if you would like to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/over50. That's drinkag1.com/over50. Check it out.
Hey podcast listeners, Courtney here. Fall is right around the corner, and HelloFresh is here to help you plan for the busy season ahead with tasty dishes delivered right to your door. I feel like summer always seems like the busiest season, but then fall creeps in, and then before you know it, the holiday season is here. I don't know about you, but I don't always have the time to really plan out my meals, go grocery shopping, or even meal prep. When life gets busy, don't call for delivery. Get HelloFresh. It's 25% cheaper than takeout and less expensive than grocery shopping too. Just choose your recipes and receive fresh, pre-portioned ingredients so you can get to cooking quick. With HelloFresh, you simply choose what meal you want and pick your delivery date. That's it. Dinner is covered. HelloFresh gives you farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh is offering the over 50 and flourishing listeners half off. Simply go to HelloFresh.com/50XO and use code 50XO for 50% off plus free shipping.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Over 50 and Flourishing. Today, we're going to be talking about 2 of my favorite things. 1, cosmetics, and number 2, becoming an entrepreneur and how to overcome fear to actually live your dream and to do what it is that you're passionate about and make it a business. My guest today is a pistol, okay? That's all I'm going to say out the chute. She is, not only is she a longtime friend, but she is an entrepreneur and she is a collaborator of mine. You have seen her and you have seen her product on my YouTube channel. I am so glad to have you in this format because your story is killer. Okay. I am such an admirer of somebody who has an idea and a vision and learning about how she goes about executing it. And you have a very unique story. Your story is about hustle. It's about grit. It's about work ethic and determination. So this is Jentry Kelley with Jentry Kelley Cosmetics. Those of you who know, we collaborated on a lipstick line not not that long ago.
Yeah, November of last year.
November of last year. Been a huge fan of your product. I featured it many, many a time on my channel. And again, I'm just so grateful to have you here to talk about your story. Why is it important? Because I hear from women all the time in this stage of life who are trying to figure out sometimes what they want to do, or they've done something for so long and they realize it's not serving them.
Like how to reinvent themselves.
Yes. And how to take a passion project and actually make it lucrative and make it a career. And so that's why I want everybody to hear your story.
Well, it's funny because Sean, my husband, said to me, God, back in 2010, he's like, you have to find something. Because I was in that place in my life,
Right.
you know. I felt like everybody had it all figured out, and I had no clue what I wanted to do. I was in my late 20s, and he said, find something that you're obsessed with. Find something you could do every single day and never get tired of. And he's like, and for you, that's makeup. You've always been that way. So you need to go in that direction because you will always love and be passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
And you'll succeed.
Was your first gig at Neiman's in makeup?
No, actually, it was at Dillard's at the clinic counter, girl.
Look at you, girl.
Selling that clarifying lotion number 2 to everybody.
That's
to
right.
remove stains or makeup.
That's stains and makeup. Well, it essentially is the same thing.
Yeah.
So then you hopped over from Dillard's, and then did you go to Neiman's?
Yeah, so the whole makeup gig was just supposed to be my college job. So I got a job at the clinic counter because they paid better than everybody else. Back then, minimum wage was, I think, $4.75 or $5 an hour, and they were paying $10 an hour. So I thought I was a big wig. And so I did that for 3 years, knew that it was not my, well, I thought, I should say, that it wasn't my forever job to be there. It was just going to get me from point A to point B. And I tried to leave the cosmetics world altogether, went to go work in janitorial services.
Excuse me?
Of all things. But a coworker of mine goes, hey, this is my full-time job. Do you want a job? You can make $100,000 a year. I was like, where do I sign up? So that I left to go do that. But of course, I was not passionate about that. I hated my job.
Yeah.
I felt like I was selling myself to get these contracts, you know? And so I quickly got back into makeup as my second job. I had to have a job that was going to pay the bills, and that was the cleaning service. So I did that for 2 years. And I wasn't the one cleaning the buildings. I was the one selling the contracts. Let's just clarify. But I ended
get
up
back to clarify.
I ended up back at Mac, back at Dillard's again, at a subleased place, Mac leases inside of Dillard's.
Right.
And so I worked for them on the weekends. And that fulfilled my passion, my need to be around makeup and make people feel beautiful, because I truly do, not just trying to sound corny. I really do love making people feel beautiful.
What were you doing during the week at that time?
So during the week, I was in outside sales. So I'd be driving around. I found out that car dealerships had the biggest payout because they would have a 7-day-a-week clean. They were open 7 days a week, and it was a large square footage. So I would drive around to all the car dealerships from Galveston to the Woodlands, from Katy to Beaumont, and sign these deals, and I would get 50% of every contract that I would sign. And so I would do that Monday through Friday, and then Friday afternoons, Saturdays, and Sundays, I'd go work at the Mac counter.
Right.
And so I did that for years, and I was ready to leave the other business. I was, I think, maybe 22 at the time, and I went to a wedding with a guy I was seeing at the time, and I sat at the table with the manager at Neiman's, and I was complaining about my job. I hate it. This sucks. I really don't want to be here. This is terrible. And she goes, well, we're hiring, and we'll pay for the rest of your college, because I had spread out my classes. I was dropping 2 a semester, just enough hours to stay on my mom's insurance. And so I ended up getting a job there. Neiman's paid for the rest of my college, and I was there for 8 years.
I have never heard of them doing that. Was that standard practice and protocol back then?
Yeah, I think back then, I seriously doubt they do that now, but they, back in the day, they took really good, they had pensions. I mean, you don't really hear about that anymore, especially at department stores. Again, things have changed. I think they've changed hands and ownership, but yeah, they were really a great company to work for. I really enjoyed working for them for the 8 years that I was there.
And was there a particular line or brand that you worked with at Neiman's, or did you hop around?
So when I first started, do you remember Versace makeup?
Of course I do.
It was only out for about 5 minutes.
Yep.
They said, we have an opening at Versace and an opening at Bobbi Brown. And I said, well, I had never heard of Bobbi Brown. This was 2004. She'd already sold to Estee Lauder. They were already doing really well, but I had never heard of that brand. And so I said, I don't really know. Maybe Versace looks more like me because it had more color, and I was coming from MAC. And she goes, trust me, you need to pick Bobbi Brown. Like, this is the line to go with. It's one of our biggest lines in here.
Yeah.
So I chose them. And I remember after a week, I went back to her office and I said, I hate it. Everything's brown.
It's very, very neutral
Literally,
palette.
everything is brown.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'm sorry, I can't let you change for 90 days. You have to stay for 90 days. And at the end of the 90 days, if you still feel that way, then I can transfer you to a different line. Thank God I stayed, because Versace's went out of business. And number 2, I absolutely was in love with the brand after 90 days. And I usually don't flip. Once I have my mind made up, it's made up. But I learned more about makeup in the 5 years that I worked for that brand than I've ever learned in my probably entire career of doing makeup.
What was it that flipped the switch for you with Bobbi Brown, and what did you learn?
I think maybe going backwards from like all the color, going down to a bare palette and learning that simple, natural makeup looks the best. And I think then when I had started at that point, I thought lime green and purple eyeshadow from the base of the lashes all the way up to the brow was hot.
Yeah, 80s were
and,
great.
People come in like, what do you want, green or purple? You know? And all the brown seemed very boring to me.
Yeah.
But then I learned all of the 27 shades of brown she had and learned, you know, what worked best on each skin tone and perfected that. And they were so good on education. They were so good with us and patient with us. And I'm the crazy one in the class that always had a lot of questions. And Dottie, my trainer, she really took me down, and everything that I thought I knew kind of brought me down to like square one and built me back up as a stronger artist. So I felt like it wasn't until then, 7 years into doing makeup, I think at this point, that I actually got good at doing makeup. My first 7 years, it was pretty terrible. So I apologize out there. If you're out there and I did your makeup from 99 to about 2005, I apologize. 2006, it was pretty bad.
Was it mainly color selection where you felt like you were terrible, or what was it?
When you look back at some of my old photos, I'll have to give you guys some photos. Y'all could pop
We can
into this
drop in some
podcast.
pics.
Oh God, it's bad. I had the worst white face syndrome. You know, we all had it in the
we all
90s,
did.
but not like I did. I laid in tanning beds. I was 50 shades of brown Bahama Babe down here, but I wore Pale Ivory #1 from Clinique on the face. It was like a huge contrast between face, neck, and chest. And when I worked for them, they would have us actually swipe here on the jawline. And they were like, actually match this. It looked better, not to how I fine-tuned it with my brand, but it looked better because at least my face was a little bit warmer than whatever the heck I was trying to match. And I think because I laid in tanning beds, put the towel on my face, it was just so much lighter, and I just didn't really know how to pull it all together. But it started looking better. It started to look more natural then. Learning the art of where things go, why you don't put blush from the apples to the ears, why you don't put bronzer all over the whole face. Learning some of those basic concepts, everything started to click because I was an artist before I was a makeup artist. So the way I believe in painting makeup and the way that Bobbi Brown believes in painting makeup is just like you would paint a face on a canvas. You don't put shimmer in your shadows. You don't put, something darker than the subject all over. It'll push it back like a shadow. So I applied all of that knowledge, and I feel like that's when my makeup really started to improve.
Interesting. And we'll talk about the evolution of your technique as we delve a little bit deeper into how you became Jentry Kelley Cosmetics. But at what point did you say, okay, so Dillard's and Neiman's and Bobbi Brown, great training ground, but now I'm ready for something more and I'm ready to do my own thing? How does all of that come to be?
Well, there was a little break in my story that I haven't told yet. So I'll rewind just a little bit. So I was at Bobbi Brown for 5 years.
Right.
I ended up getting my degree in business management. Like I said, Neiman's paid to get me there. And once I was there and I was ready for that next step, which is counter manager, then account executive, and then you just move your way up the lines ladder.
Sure.
And maybe one day be a national trainer or a national artist or whatever. Once that position came open, that next level that I wanted to be in, I was patient after I graduated and waited for that. They gave it to somebody else.
Oh.
So they called us all into the office. I think there was like 7 of us. I said, nobody quit. We were bringing somebody over from Laura Mercier to manage this counter. It was the second biggest counter at Neiman's. They did over $2 million. We did over $2 million a year. And they didn't want to give it to somebody probably who was my age with no experience.
Yeah.
They wanted me to start off at a smaller line. Well, I gave everything to that brand. I loved that brand. I was literally married with the marriage certificate to Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, and then they passed me up. How could they, right?
Right.
So I held back my tears because I don't cry. Held back my tears in the office and said, nobody leave, nobody give it 2 weeks. If anybody wants to give it 2 weeks, come talk to us first. Go back out to the counter, trying to hold back my tears. Everybody knows I'm mortified. You know when you feel like your whole body's shrinking down to like a 1-inch square and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
My customer comes up to me. If it wasn't that day, it was the next day. And she goes, my husband's a plastic surgeon. We just fired our whole office. Do you want a job? And I said, where do I sign up? Do I get free boobs?
Seriously.
And
From
so-
Bobbi Brown to boobs is where you
basically. Yep, Bobbi Brown to boobs. I like that one. So I went, and it was like 2 miles from my house. I lived in Clear Lake at the time. So
go. You were pissed.
I was mad. And so I went in there, I said, I'm giving my 2 weeks, and they're all looking at me. They're like, no, I was their best salesperson.
Yeah.
I brought in more revenue for that line than any other person there, but they wouldn't let me move up. They didn't give me the opportunity. I was just mad. Again, once I had my mind made up, I'm done. Yeah. And every day they'd call me back there begging me to stay. We'll pay you more. We'll give you like $15,000 more a year to stay. We'll give you the Laura Mercier counter manager position. I go, oh.
And so
now that that's open because you gave my position to what I wanted and gave the guy blah, 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 blah. So now you want to give me that? And I was like, that counter's running negative 50% to last year, whatever. I was like, I don't want that counter. And so I left, went to go work for the plastic surgeon. He fired me 5 weeks later.
Did you get your boobs?
I did not get my boobs. And then, at this point I had a whole other story we won't get into, but I had bought a boat for the guy I was dating at the time, and we broke up. So I had this boat note, and it wasn't even just a boat, it was a yacht that I could not afford on my own. I had a house note. I had all of these. I've never paid a bill late in my entire life.
Yeah.
That was one thing I learned from my dad. You never pay a bill late. And have all of this pressure on me. I had no choice but to call Neiman's back, put my tail between my legs, and say, I need my job back. And they were like, you start on Tuesday.
Back at Bobby Brown?
So I'm back at Neiman's, but I'm not at Bobby Brown.
Are you at Laura Mercier?
I'm at Laura Mercier. That position was still open. That counter manager position was still open. Nobody wanted it.
Lucky
So
you.
I took it, and I said, the best thing I can do is just turn this shit around and just show them they made a mistake.
Right.
And so when somebody tells me that I can't do something, something clicks, and maybe it's some daddy issues, I don't know. Something clicks in my head.
That's another podcast, but I'll have you
That's
back
a whole
for that.
other one. Something clicks, and I'm like, I will show you. It's like a proving my point kind of thing.
Right.
And I went in there, and I told my team, I don't care what we have to do. It was our big, I don't know, probably 10% of their business comes from this beauty week thing that we do once a year. I said, I don't care what we have to do. We're going to beat Bobby Brown. And so the whole team starts laughing. They go, we never beat Bobby Brown. And I said, well, we're going to today. Got it? And we beat Bobby Brown. For the first time ever, Laura Mercier beat Bobby Brown.
How? What was the strategy?
I have always been like this. I always give 110% to whatever I do. And even when I was not commission-based at Neiman's, I still wanted to make people feel good. I wanted to work. It wasn't a clock in, clock out thing for me. I always wanted to shine bright so I could move up that ladder. And at this point, it was just proving a point.
It was pride.
And so all my customers, everybody knew who I was. I'd worked there for so long. They were like, what are you doing over here? I'm like, girl, I'm at Laura Mercier now. They're like, I'll just buy this stuff. I don't care what I buy. And they were just coming in droves. I think you say droves, drones, whatever that saying is. They were just coming in.
Right. You had relationships.
I had relationships.
Yes.
And I sat every person down, and I taught my team how to do what I was so successful at. You sit every customer down. You show them attention. These people are coming here because they don't feel good about themselves. They want to feel pretty. You sit them down, complimentary. Who would say no?
Right.
And then they look in the mirror and they see themselves, and they're like, they cry. I see people cry all the time when they're sitting in my chair. Like, I've never felt this pretty in my whole life. You don't understand what I'm going through. And boom, they just give me everything. And I showed them how to do that.
Yeah.
And it was just one person after the next. And I remember the account manager, the one who managed all the Bobby Browns, not the Neiman's person, but the account manager at Bobby, did wedding makeup on one of my clients' stepmoms.
Right.
And at the wedding, she said, the biggest mistake of my career was not promoting Jentry Kelley. And that's all I needed to hear. I was like, we're done. We're done. And it wasn't too long after that I left.
Amazing. It's a great story. It's about tenacity. It's about hustle. It's about having a belief system. And we're going to talk more about how that led you to the creation of Jentry Kelley Cosmetics on the backside of this break. You're watching Over 50 and Flourishing. We'll be right back.
A big shout out to today's sponsor, Jenny Kane. Fall is right around the corner, and if you're anything like me, you're ready for a wardrobe refresh. Jenny Kane is the ultimate California brand. They've got your back with effortlessly chic fall essentials. Think cozy sweaters, versatile dresses, and those perfect lightweight layers. Plus, they've got your home covered with incredible essentials too. And here's the best part. For a limited time, our listeners get 15% off their first order. Just go to jennykane.com and use code OVER50 for that exclusive discount. Fall style generally comes with a lot of layers, and Jenny Kane has got you covered. Everything in their collection is designed so intentionally, so you can easily style pieces together without a second thought. Personally, I love combining a Jenny Kane dress with one of their classic sweaters for the perfect fall look. It's a look that's seamless, stylish, and so easy to put together. Jenny Kane is all about embracing the beauty of simplicity. Their emphasis is on comfort, top-notch quality, and timeless designs. So if you're looking to build a classic or time capsule wardrobe, Jenny Kane is where you need to start. Find your forever pieces at jennykane.com. Our listeners get 15% off your first order when you use code OVER50 at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at jennykayane.com, promo code OVER50. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about.
Our next partner is AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. You are looking at an AG1 enthusiast right here. It is not just a supplement. It's a ritual that I cherish every single day. So why did I dive into the world of AG1? All right, brace yourself. It's because I was done with the supplement shuffle. You can say goodbye to a bunch of pills and hello to a single powerhouse solution that'll nourish your body from head to toe. We're talking a happier gut, a burst of energy, and oh, the best part? It tastes absolutely fantastic. Look, I get it. Summer is here and Wanderlust is calling your name. AG1 has your back though, no matter where your adventures take you. They've whipped up these fantastic travel packs so you never have to hit pause on your wellness journey. And it tastes great. It is my trusted travel companion. Look, you can stash it in your bag, whip it out wherever you go. A splash in water, blend it in a smoothie, and you're all set to soak up the good vibes even miles away from home. AG1 making wellness a breeze, one trip at a time. So if you would like to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/over50. That's drinkag1.com/over50. Check it out. Welcome back. My guest today is my friend. She is a cosmetics creator. She is a dynamo. She has been in this industry forever and a day. And this
125 years.
125 years. And she looks only, what, 30?
It's the Botox.
It is great stuff. Jentry Kelley is my guest. She's a Houston makeup artist. She's a friend. She's a collaborator. And I wanted her on this podcast to really for her to share her story about how she made it in this business and just what it takes to be able to start a business. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. We're getting her backstory in makeup, her history at Dillard's, her history at Neiman Marcus, hopping from MAC to Bobbi Brown to Laura Mercier. And so there you are. And at some point, you're about ready to cut bait.
Yep. I knew it was time when I'd heard that comment and my mission accomplished, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, Janet Gerwich had owned Laura Mercier. She had just sold the company, but she was coming in and buying things and getting her makeup done. So I had the pleasure of meeting her, still buying from her company even after she sold it. And I was so inspired by her and her story and Bobbi Brown and her story. I was like, you know what? Why am I making Neiman's millions of dollars a year when I can make myself millions of dollars a year? And so Sean was pushing for me to sell these brands because he was very successful online selling supplements back in the day. And he said, why don't you call all these brands and, I don't know, luxurycosmetics.com, whatever.
Sure.
And I said, you can't do that. You got to have a brick and mortar. And he's like, I don't believe you. So when I went to work one day, he called all the makeup lines. And when I got home from work, he said, well, I learned something today. Estee Lauder owns everything because I called their 1-800 number about 17 times today with every brand I could find online. And you're right, you can't sell anything with a brick and mortar. So why don't you start your own? And I was like, oh, I can't afford it. So I kind of blew him off. Long story short, fast forward to I ended up starting a wedding business and booked like $3,000 worth of work the first day.
Just doing makeup for weddings.
The day I announced that I was no longer at Neiman's and I was doing this. And people were like, well, what do I do at the store? There's no one to help me. Nobody helps me like you help me. And I was like, I'll come to your house, girl. $200, I'll do makeup wardrobe. Just like someone does for your clothing, I'll organize your drawers. I'll tell you what colors to buy and I'll bring my own kit and suggest things.
So did you have your own cosmetics at this point?
No,
or were you using somebody else's?
Because these people at this point are like, I just need someone to come over and tell me what to use.
Got it.
So I had this kit full of luxury cosmetics from Neiman's, all the brands. And so I would come over, do their makeup, organize their drawers, and then they would tell me what they wanted to buy. And then I would, as like a valet service, go pick it up for them and then bring it to their house for $200. And so these women started to say, why don't you have your own makeup line? And I was like, oh, I can't afford it. I don't have wealthy parents or an investor or someone who's going to help me out. I had less than $2,000 to my name. And then I hear the comment again. Do you really know how much it cost? And I was like, more than I have. Why don't you just call? So I did. I called. And at this time I was single. Sean and I had broken up. And I think it was a point in my life where I wanted to prove that I could do this on my own without anyone's help. Didn't really know what I wanted to do in our relationship. Didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life. Everything's kind of like, been overturned. And I ended up calling the place where I knew Bobbi Brown started. And I said, I want to start a line. What do I do? They said, we have an open house in Soho next week. And so I spent my last $5 to get a last minute plane ticket and a hotel room. And I just did it. I just went out there, spent 9 hours at the open house.
When you say open house, describe what that is.
So it's a makeup manufacturing house.
Okay.
So basically, there's so many different tiers of creating your own makeup. There's the less expensive way where you just choose from a library and you get no customization. You can provide your own packaging or use theirs. There's minimums for each, and then they label it for you. Then there's different tiers, and different contract manufacturers have different tiers that they do. Right. Sometimes you can create it from scratch, provide your own fragrance, provide your own packaging, tweak formulas from other brands that you like, and say,
probably
this is
different
the base.
price points and all of this too, right?
And nobody makes their own makeup. That's a misconception.
Interesting.
I mean, it's like that in manufacturing. I mean, just to buy the machines that it takes to make all the different products would be in the crazy 50, 100 millions of dollars. I mean, a lot of people don't have that kind of financial support in the beginning. So unless a brand gets like mega huge, like Estee Lauder, I don't think anybody has their own manufacturing plant. So you go through these places and it's like, how many different ways can you make a chocolate chip cookie, right? They already have all the base formulas at work. You just go in and say, I like this, but I don't like this ingredient. Or I want to add shimmer to it, or I want to add flavor to it, or whatever. So I did it the absolute cheapest way you could do it and said, I just want to start off with lipsticks, liners, and glosses.
Right.
Just because I know my brides always want something to touch up with. So at least I won't be, wasting money on something or sitting on inventory. So I started there and told them, I was like, I don't have any money to do this, but here's the colors that I really liked from your stuff. And they had a couple of different packaging options I could choose. And I said, which is how Bobbi Brown did it, by the way, as well, from the same exact place. So don't let anybody's story fool you. I said, okay, I have a credit card. They were like, great. So this was back in the day. This is 2007, 8, 9, whenever they were giving people crazy credit card limits.
Oh, yeah.
So I had an American Express card with a $35,000.
Wipe it.
Yeah, it wasn't a charge card. It was a credit card.
Yes, a credit card. Yes.
And so I was able to charge my first transaction there. And I had gone to school to learn how to write a business plan. And I was like, if I write a business plan, I'm going to talk myself out of this.
Yeah.
I'm going to think like an engineer and I'm just going to overthink it to the point where I'm not going to do it. I'm going to scare myself off. So I just did it. I just winged it. And I got to the point where I couldn't even sleep at night, knowing that I owed $900. Now to look back, which is funny because I owe, $9,000 in a given Wednesday on my credit card or $90,000 some weeks. But back then I was so stressed out about this $900. I think it was a $981 minimum payment that I had to make on this credit card. And where is that money going to come from? Because I was just a freelance makeup artist at that point, And then by the time I bought the packaging, which was $11,000, just the cardboard box that you throw in the trash.
That's $11,000 for the
The
product
investment
itself.
of the products, I can't remember. Let's just say it was $6,000 to $8,000 for the lipsticks.
Right. And
Then
how
it
many
was-
did you order?
Not that many. I mean, I was barely meeting minimums. I think the minimum per style was like 144. So, I mean, probably with lipstick, liner, and gloss, I had no more than 300 to 500 products in my inventory.
And that was $30,000 all in for product and packaging.
Product, packaging, then I had to have a website. I had to have someone help me because by this point I could even use the plug and play websites, like the Shopify type stuff.
Yes.
Shopify I don't think even existed yet, or maybe they were too new. It was a different version of that.
Yeah.
I had to have someone help me with some of this quote coding.
Technical
It was not
stuff.
coding, but to me it felt like coding. And stickers, labels for the products. I didn't do any marketing, any paid marketing. I don't remember what else I spent that money on. But anyway, $35,000 was maxed out quite quickly. And I was like trying to sleep at night, staring at the wall, thinking, what have I done? I hope people buy this. I got on social media. I said, I'm launching a cosmetic brand. I'm going to have this party at the Spring Street Studios over here. One of my friends that was a designer was like, you can use my studio. And 200 people showed up. And I sold $10,000 in products
darn. On
that
your
first
first-
day or two. It was a 2-day event.
And how quick were they able to refill all your product?
I ran out of a
Yeah,
lot of things.
obviously.
And so I started telling clients, I still had the samples. I'm going to come. I was driving to Louisiana. I had a lot of my best friends from Louisiana, and she introduced me to somebody there. And so I started doing clients in Louisiana. So I'd go spend a week in Louisiana. And then I would do parties for my friends here. If you had 6 or more people, that was like my marketing. I would do it for free. Otherwise, it was $200 for a single appointment. So then that made my one person turn into 6 people. And I was going to do these basically Mary Kay home party type things.
Yeah.
And these women were being so patient and waiting like 2, sometimes 3 months to get their stuff in that they purchased. I was like, you got to pre-purchase it. I got to buy the stuff. I need capital, And so they were like, we just want to support you. And, being at Neiman's for so long, I had the upper echelon of Houston. These women were just, I want to support you in any way that I can, giving me their American Express black cards, inviting their fancy pants friends over, and they would all buy everything.
Sure, $1,000 later in
and
makeup.
then I started quickly adding more things to the line. So it wasn't lipsticks only for very long. And built the line up to about probably 70 different products.
Were you basically taking all the money that you were getting and then just reinvesting? Because obviously, how do you even collect a paycheck at this point if you're trying to build?
I didn't. That's the thing. I didn't take a paycheck, by the way. until 3 years and 3 months in business.
That's it.
I made the money from doing day rates at the store. So I would still, even though I had my own brand, I would go work in Neiman's, Nordstrom's, and Saks.
Interesting.
Neiman's not for very long because they found out. They found out I had a brand.
Yeah.
And the manager, I remember, called me in the office and she goes, Gentry, we love you. We heard you have your own line. It's a conflict of interest. You can't do this anymore. So when it doesn't work out, you always have a place here.
When
I said,
it doesn't
there
work
it goes
out.
again. There it goes again. So I was working at Saks and Nordstrom's for mostly Laura Mercier at the time, and then a little bit Bobbi Brown, the lady who didn't promote me. She was like, come on, you're going to freelance with me. And so I freelanced, and so you're the visiting artist for the day. You know when that you go to Neiman's, and they're like, oh, would you like a makeover? The visiting artist? That's who I was.
Okay.
And so I did that for a little while, and then still did the weddings and the events. So, I mean, as long as I knew I could cover my bills if I made at least $2,000 a month. So I just basically for every tube of lipstick, I would buy 2 or 3 more and just kept doing that with my profit, just over and over and over for 3.5 years. And I made $75,000 the first year, $275,000 the second year, $600,000 the third year. And I said, once I hit that $1 million mark, I'm going to write myself a paycheck. And I couldn't do it. Really? I hit $1 million a little after 3 years. And then at that point, my accountant was like, you've got to pay yourself something or it's going to start looking a little fishy. So we have to start paying you something. So that's when I started writing myself $2,000 paychecks every month. And that went on for a very long time. So I think people thought, due to perception and social media, that I was rolling in the dough, but I was literally making $2,000 a month for probably 6-7 years.
Amazing. And at this point, were you basically self-promoting? Was social media, I guess, starting to pick up at this point?
Yeah, so Facebook was really big. So MySpace was kind of like the burnout candle at this point.
That's true.
And Facebook was going. And I had a Facebook business page. They had just come out. And we weren't friends, you like a business page.
Correct.
And you weren't maxed out at how many people, because I was maxed out on Facebook.
Correct.
So
5,000.
Facebook personal, I had 5,000,
Yes.
yep. But your business page, there was no max.
Right.
And that was one of the things when I did Sheryl Sandberg's makeup. She was the COO of Facebook. And I told her, she asked for my story when I was doing her makeup for a family event. And I told her, I said, actually, this is not me just blowing smoke. This is actually real. What made me successful was Facebook. I absolutely would not be here if there wasn't the Facebook business page. I wouldn't have been able to promote my products. I wouldn't have been able to link my website. I would have never, ever made it. I would not be sitting here doing your makeup right now if it wasn't for that. So I didn't really do paid ads in the beginning. I couldn't afford to. It was really just me being consistent, and I was really, really good at Facebook.
Yeah.
I was posting videos when people weren't posting videos.
I was going to say, what was your secret sauce? I mean, I first of all, I love following all your social stuff. You are an absolute hoot. You put the funny in makeup, but I think it's that beautiful humanity that you're not afraid of just being real and raw and funny and just organic about the whole thing. So
but I used to not be like that.
I'm curious because you've become that way, but did you start as, Miss Professional and I'm going to do this, or what did you do?
Well, I was a scared cat. Please do not go look at my old YouTube
I
videos. They're
am
so
now.
embarrassing.
Totally
Oh my God,
stalk
I was
you.
a scared cat. I look like, well, first of all, I had no upper lip because I hadn't got injections yet. So I looked like Popeye. I was like, hi, this is Gentry. I'm not doing some makeup. I just was so scared of the camera. And to rewind back to me as a kid, first of all, I was a major tomboy. I identified as a boy, 180% boy. My mom put me in modeling school. That's how I learned makeup, because she wanted me to know how to act like a girl. So I just was super, I didn't feel comfortable in anything girly. I didn't wear makeup. Getting in front of a camera, forget about it. And at this modeling school, they made us get in front of a camera and do commercials, commercial print, to practice. And I would have a sheer panic attack. Then comes college. Speech is required. Communication, speech, whatever that class was. And I had to get up in front of my class of 30 people and give a speech about makeup.
Of course.
I was working at Clinique at the time. And I remember you could see pit sweat rings. I was just so freaking scared. And she was over there tallying ums and likes the whole time. And I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble. And I just didn't think I was gonna be able to graduate college because I couldn't get through that class. Yeah. I had such a fear of public speaking.
Isn't that crazy?
All the way up to 2016, I spoke in front of 550 women at the Galveston County Chamber of Commerce event that they had at the Moody Gardens. And I remember almost having a panic attack when I was up there. But I think what led me to be able to get on stage to do that was these little makeup parties of 6, feeling like you're just a part of the girls and just, making them laugh. And I just felt like whenever I feel, a lot of comedians are like this too, whenever you feel the most awkward and insecure, you want to make other people laugh, and it makes you feel more comfortable when they're laughing.
Absolutely. It's shared laughter. And then it's like, they're not laughing at me, they're laughing with me.
Yes. And that's how I was very self-deprecating on Facebook, and I'd always make fun of myself. I would literally hear every day, quit being so self-deprecating. I'm like, but I like making fun of myself and saying the things that people are insecure about.
Sure.
To let other people know, like, you're not the only one who's balding back here or whatever, or has a hair growing on their butt or whatever. Like, we all do, right? And I would constantly be making fun of myself, which made people say that you're so relatable. I love that about you.
Right.
And I buy your makeup not because of your makeup, because of you. And I think that's what made me so successful on Facebook, was being so transparent. And it made me become so much more confident. I am so much more of a confident person than that 13-year-old girl that was, could barely speak in front of 2 people.
Yeah.
Not even the same human.
Isn't that something? Well, it's the evolution, and it's how everything serves a purpose, right? So your small interactions led you to the bigger platforms, to be able to communicate on Facebook, to be able to talk in front of large groups of people. But this is also serving you as your business is now growing, and you're going beyond just collecting a $2,000 paycheck. You're actually growing a company. You're bringing in a skincare line. So I want to talk about that, and just the process of going from being one person who's just, ordering product and showing up at people's houses to actually becoming a brand. How did you make that happen?
So when I first started, I didn't have anyone to help me assemble this stuff.
Yeah.
So when you get the stuff, it's not done. It's not turnkey. So I told my friends, I'm going to make some Alfredo. Everybody come over. We're labeling makeup tonight. So 11 people came over. I'm over here stirring the pot of Alfredo, making some fettuccine. I'm like, hey guys, how y'all doing over there? So my friends were helping me for free, or very little.
Yeah.
I'd pay them $50 to help me with an event. And that's kind of how it started until I was like, one day I'll be able to pay you guys more. But right now I just need some help. And so everybody was really supportive in the beginning when I was first starting the brand, and I didn't have a lot of capital. I never did get an investor. This was all me.
That's amazing.
And I finally got an employee that was more full-time, probably like my first maybe a year to 2 years into it. But I just couldn't do it all myself, with the online orders and I was taking my own photos. I still take my own photos. All the things that you would never even think of behind the scenes. So I got help to do these parties and events and travel to Louisiana. By the second year, I started getting into more retail stores. And I think by the third or fourth year, we were in 17 different retail stores, mostly in Louisiana at that point, because it grew really fast over there. So I started to grow my team. And my very first store I ever got in was actually Dr. Roth's office.
Yep.
Lauren Freeman is his wife. They called me and they said, someone who works here knows you. We want someone to sell a brand here, and we want to do it on consignment. I couldn't afford to give half my inventory to them on consignment. What if it didn't sell? What if I needed to sell? I didn't have enough to do that. So after some negotiations, Dr. Roth handed me the keys. Like, my home is your home.
Right.
You can have free rent here. Just refer me clients and we're good to go. I'll refer you. It'd be a cross-referral situation. And that's really what helped me become so successful. Without any capital in the beginning, I didn't have to pay for rent.
Yep.
I would give him business, and they would end up doing Botox and tummy tucks and everything from my clients. And it was just a family.
It was a reciprocal
and did that
thing.
until I kind of grew out of it, grew out of the space, people working from my home. By this time, I think I had 7, 8 employees. And I was like, I need a physical place to put my stuff, because like the boxes were falling on my bed at that point.
Yeah.
And the warehouse was full. And so that's when I bought my first building. My first property was in 2017.
Yep. Well, it's interesting. I love how you mentioned that about Lauren and Dr. Roth, because it comes full circle to you and me and how we met and through whom we met. Because Lauren was a co-anchor of mine at Channel 2. She anchored The 5. She's a longtime friend. And you did my makeup for the very first time in that office.
Yep.
And that's
I still have that photo.
I know. And that's where we got connected. And it's kind of serendipitous. It's always through people that you know.
Yep. And Sheena, your eye doctor too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Sheena, you were at Sheena's as well. And
she's like, you need to meet Dominique too.
Yeah, and then we
I kept hearing about you, and then you kept hearing about me, and it was just kind of like it was meant to be for us to meet.
And we wound up doing a video together, and we talked about makeup and, do's and don'ts and all of that. So it's a great story. And you're at this point now where you're about ready to launch big time. And so we're going to talk about that, getting that first brick and mortar and what that looks like for a business owner on the backside of Over 50 and Flourishing. Let's talk real coffee, the kind that wakes you up with a burst of flavor, sets your taste buds dancing, and puts a smile on your face. You know, the coffee you deserve. Hey, if you've settled for mediocre, burnt, or messy brews, we've got a game changer for you. Picture this. You're craving that perfect cup of joe, but life's got you on the move. Drive-through splurges seem tempting, but what if you could have a cafe quality cup anywhere without the wait or the hassle? That's where Cometeer steps in, and trust me, it is a coffee revelation. Cometeer's magic lies in hyper-fresh, flash frozen coffee that is packed with incredible flavor. No machines, no gadgets, and no cleanup. It's like having a barista in your pocket, ready to whip up a phenomenal cup in just seconds. Hey, believe me, I was skeptical too until I tried that first sip. The taste, mind-blowing. The ease, unbelievable. Think about it. No more grounds, no more mess. For hot coffee, you just drop the frozen coffee extract puck into your cup and add hot water. It's that simple. But here's the kicker. Cometeer's capsules are 100% recyclable, so you're sipping sustainably too. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary coffee? Join the future of coffee with Cometeer today and get a curated starter pack of their most popular roasts. Just go to cometeer.com/over50 to get a free 8-pack and a travel mug when you sign up. That's a free 8-pack of coffees and a travel mug when you sign up at cometeer.com/over50. Let's talk about something we all deal with, body odor. Yep, even those delicate areas. That's why I want to share my recent discovery with you, Lumi Whole Body Deodorant. Now I'm all about smelling good, but regular deodorants just weren't cutting it in this Houston heat. That's where Lumi comes in. Created by an OB-GYN, this pH-balanced deodorant is a game changer. Lumi has us covered from head to toe. Now, I personally tried it, and let me tell you, I am seriously impressed. Not only does it keep me smelling fresh for days, but it's also safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, thighs, belly buttons, you name it. And here's the kicker. It's clinically proven to control odor for up to 72 hours. Yeah, you heard me right. The secret sauce? Lumi is powered by mandelic acid, and that means it stops odor before it even starts. No more masking with fragrances. Lumi gets to the root of the issue. Plus, here's the part that's important to me. It's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and paraben-free. And the scents? Pretty stinking amazing. Clean tangerine, lavender sage, and toasted coconut. My personal favorite. Just a few options for you. All right, so let's talk about the starter pack. It is perfect if you want to give Lumi a try, and it comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a Lumi starter pack with code OVER50 at lumideodorant.com. That equates to more than 40% off your starter pack when you visit lumideodorant.com and use code OVER50. Stay fresh, my friends. Welcome back. Thank you for being with me on Over 50 and Flourishing. My guest today, I hope you have been enjoying her because I always do. It's Jentry Kelley with Jentry Kelley Cosmetics, and we're getting a really, really great backstory to how a woman with an idea can make a business and flourish. And so we were, before the break, talking about your big leap into having your own place, having a brick and mortar. You know, as exciting and exhilarating as that must be, scary as heck, too.
If you would have asked me in 2011 when I launched the brand if I would ever have my own store, I'd be like, yeah, right, I could never afford that. I didn't ever set my goals too far because I was too scared of disappointment. So I'd always set little milestones. So when I reached them, I'd be excited and I'd want to do more. But I never had a big goal of having my own place.
Do you think that's a good approach just for anybody who's wanting to start a business?
I think so too. I think we get too let down when we set our goals too big.
Yeah.
My husband would disagree. He reaches for the stars and he's happy with anything he gets to in between.
Right.
For me, I set small milestones for myself. And when I met those milestones, I felt really excited that I got there because I think it just goes back to that confidence thing. I really didn't have a lot of confidence that I could do this. I always felt like you had to be a millionaire to start a business.
Yeah.
Do I think it makes it easier when you're already a millionaire to start businesses? Absolutely.
Obviously.
There's a lot more grind. There's a lot more grit in the way that I did it. But I'm very proud of what I've done.
More growth.
And there's more room for growth because people also, they like to hear a story too. It's true. People want to feel like that could be me. You know, a lot of us out here and a lot of you guys listening came from nothing. I came from nothing. My parents didn't have anything. I was very lower middle class. And I knew I didn't belong where I was at. I looked around at the people around me and what they were doing. I knew that I was going to be in the big city one day where there was like 10 millionaires. I felt that. I was like,
wow,
there's got to be,
whole millionaires.
I remember as a little girl thinking, there's got to be at least 10 people in Houston that have $1 million. And my first day at Neiman's, my first sale was 800. And I'm like, what the heck? Oh my God, $800 sale. They were like, well, have 10 more of those today. But I was just, very, where I came from was more small-minded. Like my parents, my mom had a business, very small one that didn't do well. My dad worked at the chemical plants. Neither one of them thought big picture. And I just knew that there was more to life than what I was around. And I think you're born with it or you're not. As a little kid, I was always trying to make money. I would go to grandma's house and I'd say, Mom, grandma's a hoarder. She's got stuff in that garage. Can we have a garage sale? She's like, what is it with you in these damn garage sales? And I'm like, I can make like $300. And so I'd go to Apple Tree, which was Kroger's.
Yep.
I'd buy some cardboard. I'd make a sign, garage sale. She'd drive me around, be like, this kid is crazy. And I'd go put these signs up and then people would show up and I'd be selling like my grandma's little Clinique samples and like, trinkets that she had in that garage, and I'd make $300. My mom goes, I don't even know how you do it. I'm like, can I clean out you and Dad's garage?
Yeah, exactly. I'm on a roll, and who needs lemonade?
Yeah, she opened up a little bank account for me in Alvin, where her beauty salon was, and had alligators in it. It was at First National Bank, and I thought those alligators were so cool inside that bank, and so I was like, I want to have a bank there. And so she opened me a little account, and I had $2,000 in there that I had saved up from my little garage sales. And so I always knew that I wanted to own something, but didn't really have the confidence that I could ever do it or do it big.
Right. So your mentality was baby steps, baby accomplishments, and eventually, but you always had the faith and the belief that you would get there somehow.
I felt like I could do it.
Yes.
I didn't think I'd ever be a Neiman Marcus or a Bobby Brown. She sold her company, by the way, I think for $44 million to William Lauder, maybe a few years after she started. I don't remember the exact number. I didn't think I would ever be able to do that. And now I'm so close to a whisper away from being able to do that. And again, having my own brick and mortar or thinking that I could actually sell my company for $50 or $100 million one day is so close within reach, but so far away than what I ever thought it was in the beginning of this. I just wanted to, sell things to brides and see where it went.
And make them beautiful on their best day.
Yeah. And quit selling stuff out of my kit because they'd still want to buy these used lipsticks out of my kit. And I'm like, that's gross, number one. And number two, then I have to go pay full price. So you're paying me full price for it.
But that just goes to show the power of the right color. Okay?
Yep, exactly. They did not want to be without their lipstick on their wedding day.
Right. So your first store was on Shepherd 59. Tell me about the process of doing that.
So I knew I needed a retail space and a warehouse combined. That was my goal. At this time, I was living actually right around here.
Yep.
And I wanted something that was Allen Parkway or south, 59 or north, Shepherd to 610. If you're not Houston, you don't know where that is, but it's about a 2-3 mile radius.
In the loop where the kind of hub of the Galleria Mecca shopping business.
Between downtown and the Galleria.
Exactly.
Very high ticket.
Yes.
Probably outside of my reach, not within, outside of my reach. But I couldn't find anything less than $1 million. And I was like, I'm just too scared. My husband's been in commercial real estate. He's like, it's fine. He's kind of pulling the numbers for me, what I was doing at the time, what it was going to cost me. He's like, you really need this. And I'm like, I just can't do it. So I just kept passing up on everything. One day he's like, you just need to expand your search criteria. And I was like, my customers are not driving from Memorial past Shepherd. And he was like, just shut up and watch. So he expanded my search criteria on real estate for commercial business. It's called LoopNet. So he expanded it. And sure enough, this building had just been listed 3 hours prior. So talking about a sign.
Serendipity. And it was right there at Shepherd.
And it had a billboard.
I know.
A 30 by 10 billboard. And if you know anything about billboards in Houston, nobody owns their billboards.
No.
Because in the 90s, they were all sold off to JGI or CBS Outdoors or whatever. Right. And nobody owns it. It's a 6-foot square cutout and someone else owns your billboard on your land. This one didn't have that because the guy who owned the building was running as a politician and wanted to use it for himself. So he did not sell it. And so he goes, this one comes to the billboard. Let's go. So we drive over there and I put in an offer and went back and forth twice. And he took my lowball offer and I got it. I think it was $730,000, which in Houston on the freeway with a billboard, 3,000 square foot. Like I stole that building from that man.
Yes, you did.
But it was a complete piece of crap.
It needed work.
It looked like a prison in Mexico. It was rough. There was holes in the floor. It was bad. Flooring it did have was all different directions, and the bathrooms were from the 1950s. But you
got your location.
I got my location, and I was like,
an investment.
I can put lipstick on a pig.
Yeah,
we got this.
Yeah.
And I did. And then Hurricane Harvey hit less than a month later. So that was
Yeah.
exciting to find contractors.
Wasn't it though? Yeah. If for those of you who, I mean, Harvey flooded everything. I was working news at the time, and places that never flooded.
Like 15 foot of water flooded.
Oh, crazy flooding to the point where, I mean, people lost everything. And to your point, getting a contractor to do any kind of remediation, remodeling was so difficult to find. And so what kind of damage did you have and what were you facing?
I didn't have any damage because I own the 2 buildings in Houston. One is my home and one is my business that have basements. So I thought for sure it was going to be flooded. So I bought the building on July 21st. And on August 27th is when Hurricane Harvey hit. So I guess it was a little over a month later. I had already ripped everything out of the building.
Thank God. So you had gutted it and there was nothing to destroy.
But here it was nothing to destroy. The building is made of cinder blocks, so it didn't go anywhere. I was at the top of the little mountain.
Yep.
The basement didn't get any water in it. I couldn't believe it. I was one of the only buildings that didn't lose power because nobody had power for like a week or longer.
Yes.
And so anyway, I got super lucky there was no damage. But then I have a whole building ripped out with nothing but a shell.
Nobody to do the work.
And then trying to fight for contractors. Yeah. But luckily, my husband is in construction. And so he was able to scrape some people together for me. I know I did. I got lucky. So I was able to get the building together and we moved in October. Unfinished, but we moved in.
Unbelievable.
And so I was able to now combine what was in my house, what was in a storage unit that was overflowing, and then what was at that doctor's office. I was able to put everything in one roof and it felt so peaceful having everything in one place. And I felt like I was just going to be able to accomplish so much more now that I was inside the building. So then the next step was, how do I get the people in here?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I just got on social media like I knew worked last time. And little by little, more and more people started to come and started running promotions on Memorial Area Trading, which is a Facebook group around here. Yeah. I started offering free makeovers to anyone in the group. And that was huge success. And I still do that every single year. And just kind of grew my business that way. And I thought, it'll be best if I do this, not by myself, but also have other people in here. So I rented out hair chairs for hairstylists. I had someone who rented a place for med spa type services. So then it became a one-stop beauty shop. You could get your Botox, you could get your facial, and get your makeup done and your hair done. Everything but a spray tan.
Well, you want to have that in there too.
No, that was messy. Those were messy. Get all over your walls.
Too hard to clean up.
So that's what I did. So I did that, and that's when I started seeing the numbers really grow. That's when we started to get, going from like $1 million to $2 million to $3 million of sales a year. So again, one of those things I didn't think I'd ever do, but I made that leap. I was so scared to make that payment, of $4,700 a month before taxes and insurance on the building. But I knew that if I took this next step, I had the billboard, that was going to be more exposure for the brand and that was going to help me. And I just knew that if I worked hard enough, just like I did at Neiman's, it would always work.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I did.
Yep. It's come back to you tenfold. Before you even went into the building, you had also launched a skincare line. And I want to talk about that because you're not just makeup, you're skincare as well. And you're very conscientious about what's in that skincare. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, the skincare I formulated, I want to say it was around 2015 or 16. So it was right before I moved into the building. I knew I wanted to do that from scratch.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what I wanted in the products. I knew I didn't want anything active. I didn't want the liability of something very active. I didn't want to hurt anybody. I wanted to go more organic and plant-based because I have sensitive skin. So how can I get out here and sell things with perfume and fragrance when I know that I can't wear that? Yeah. And I know that my customers can't wear that. I mean, the people that I've been helping since my Neiman's days also, are complaining about all the perfume that these lines put in their stuff. Like Chanel and Sicily, it feels great. It smells great. But if you have rosacea like me or eczema or psoriasis, you can't do all that stuff. Up. Yes, I would just get blisters on my face and my rosacea would just itch and feel so hot. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to do this whole thing calming and soothing because sometimes just going back to the basics, which I really feel like in the last 5 years, the world is coming around.
Finally.
Cut out the chemicals.
Yes.
Cut out the scary stuff. Cut out the fragrance. Why do you need perfume on your face? Spray perfume on if you want perfume on.
Absolutely.
And my skin just reacted to it so much better when I was playing around with the lab samples. I met them at a trade show that I go to every year for the World of Cosmetics, for packaging, cosmetic fillers, all of that all comes to Vegas for, and I think it's July every year. So I went to that trade show and I met them and they didn't really want to give me the time of day at first because I wasn't big enough. Everybody has to wear a name tag and what your brand is. They didn't know who Jentry Kelley was. Who are you? What do you do a year? What do you next? And they kept blowing me off. But there was just one sales rep who was like, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to make them do it. And I flew to Dallas where the contract manufacturer was at the time and met with them. And I said, okay, so I don't have a lot of money. will you please work with me in the beginning on smaller minimums? And I promise that as my company grows, here's the percent increases I've been doing every year. I'll get there. I'll get to what your MOQs are. MOQ is minimum order quantity.
Okay.
Most places it's 5 to 10,000 units per shade or per formula. They did it for as low as 1,500 units. That they're not making any money off of me, but they were willing to grow with me. So I did that until they went out of business. Had to find a new manufacturer. But anywho, so yeah, I did that and was able to work with them on creating with the lab guys exactly what I wanted, saying I want arnica for dark circles and swelling. I want aloe and everything. I want avocado oil to calm and soothe. Hyaluronic acid was a big buzzword at the time.
You bet.
Let's put hyaluronic acid in there.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I started simple, and then later on, this past year, I went into a little bit more of like the medical side, going with, the sunscreen and the salicylic acid and the more of the active products. But it's good to use in conjunction with, and at least I have options for both now.
For people who can or can't.
Yes.
You've also expanded. You now have 2 locations in Houston. Correct?
Yeah, 2 self-branded stores. I think I should know the number, but I don't. 8 to 10 retailers that sell my brand, and then 2 self-branded stores.
All right. So you've grown into this business. You are, I think, maybe so much bigger than you ever had anticipated that you would be. What's the end game for you? Is the end game the big sale? Is it that someone's going to come and buy me out and it's going to be that big tens of millions and I can say that I was in the game just like everybody else?
I think there will come a day where that happens.
Yeah.
I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
I'm still having fun.
See, I was going to say, because if that does happen, then what? I mean, this is your baby.
And I don't do enough per year to get the number that I would sell it for. They say everybody has a number. I don't really have a number. I remember Bobby Brown and Janet kind of said the same thing. Everybody has a number. What would be your number? I don't have that. I don't know what that secret, someone approached me and says, I will give you X, Y, Z for it. I don't know. I think it has to be the timing and when I'm ready. And I still really enjoy doing makeup. I know I should get away from doing the brides every single weekend. My time is, if I want to scale this thing and make it big, I got to spend more money on the marketing and the advertising.
You need to reallocate where Gentry is.
Exactly.
Yes.
I can't, there's only one of me. I got to be able to delegate and work more on the business, not for the business, as my friend always says to me. She's like, you need a little buzzer so you can time yourself. Am I working on the business or for the business? So I really scaled down what I am doing inside the store. I'm only in the store about 3 to 4 days a month, seeing clients. I do 3 lessons a day. And then I do the weddings on the weekend, and I've start to kind of scale down that. And my goal for 2023 is to really get out there and get on that train that I missed when Instagram got big, and now TikTok is the next one, and really get out there and do those sponsored ads like Thrive and Il Maquillage that just went IPO for millions of dollars.
Yeah. That's how you get seen by eyeballs who aren't seeing you yet, because you built in a grassroots kind of a way.
Yes.
But it's time for that exposure now.
And a lot of brands don't do that. It's opposite.
Yes.
So when you have the grassroots already and then you start putting fuel on the fire for marketing, then it explodes.
Right.
But I've been micromanaging for too long.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest hiccup. And if I have any advice for anyone listening today, if you're still micromanaging your small business, stop today.
And delegate.
Invest in more help. Delegate. And that's how, if you want to scale, that's how you're going to do it. If you want to stay small, then keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
But I micromanaged for way too long, because I really wanted to be the Chick-fil-A of cosmetics. I always say that, when you go to Chick-fil-A, your stuff's going to be in the bag. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get 8 nuggets, not 9.
Right. It's control.
Never 7, It's control. And it's wanting to feel like I have my hands wrapped around every single customer service situation and making sure everyone's happy. You're going to have a lip liner that breaks. You're going to have a tube that isn't sealed all the way and it's going to explode on an airplane. I don't need to get involved because I get too emotional because I care too much about it when somebody loses their mind or they're hateful to my team. Yeah. I used to get out there and feel like I needed to stand up for everybody or cuss out every customer who came in and acted like a fool.
Right.
But I can't do that anymore. I just have to stay completely separate from that, and I'm getting better and better every day at letting go of those things and really focus on what I'm good at, which is the education part and the marketing and the doing the more videos. So that's what I'm on now. So I devote every Tuesday to filming so I can do more reels and more marketing material. And now I'm introducing more days. So I'm really excited about where we're going next.
I am excited for you too. Now, I'm not going to let you go without talking about 2 things. So just like you said, Bobby Brown was known for 50 Shades of Tan. Okay. You are known for #no bottom eyeliner.
Yep.
And I want to talk about that because that was pioneering back when you were coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you
everybody
Google
was smoking down there.
If you go back and you Google no bottom liner, it's my picture that pops up 97 times.
Yeah.
I got so much hate mail from that.
I know you did.
I am talking about, like one girl, pretty much a death threat.
What?
I
what do you
mean,
mean I can't
I
have
don't know
bottom
what her name
eyeliner?
was. She was from Beaumont. She had rainbow hair, and I thought she was coming for me. But she was aggressive with it. She was just like, how can you? And anyway, it doesn't really matter. She tore me up for that.
But
and then
tell
I'm
me
like,
your principle behind that,
and
because
it
it's
just
a
goes-
valid one.
You can't argue. I was in Louisiana, and I think everything in moderation can work.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you tell people you can do it, but they're going to go all the way to 60, right? So I'd rather just tell them stay at 0.
Right.
Because what they were doing was, especially at this time of 2015, 16, is they were drawing with a black pencil or liquid liner a line right under the lip of their eye and calling it a day.
Yeah.
And
it
we're
was
blending it, and it was hard.
and harsh.
And it dragged their eyes down.
Yeah.
So when I said earlier, makeup is like painting on a canvas, right? You do it the same way. You shadow, you contour, you highlight, you do everything the same way. When you add dark to your subject, it drags down and pushes in.
Yep.
If you're trying to brighten and make your eyes look bigger, and you're trying to look 10 years younger, you're not going to do that by putting black charcoal gray underneath your eye.
Yeah.
And so I took a picture from a lady who was not having it. She's like, I'm not going down my bottom liner. Like I said, I was in Louisiana, and she was fighting with me. She's a Cajun girl. She goes, shag girl, I ain't going down my
I'm gonna throw
liner.
some cayenne
I
on
said,
you.
let me show you something. So I put black liner on one side. I go, look at me.
Yeah.
And it looked like my eye was drooping down like this. And I go,
the
see?
panda.
And she goes, oh my God, you're right. And I took a picture of it. I faced the window. I took a picture and I posted that picture. And that's my first thing that ever went viral.
Yep.
And everybody, and it was like 50%. And one girl from my hometown of Friendswood, she goes, listen, I know cemetery. This girl's face not even.
Cemetery?
And then that's when we just had to laugh. I go, well, symmetry? And she's like, whatever.
Whatever.
Your face is not even. Look at how messed up your eyeballs are. I'm like, okay,
Proving
anyway.
a point, but thank you so
Anyway,
much.
but from then, that
Yes.
just became my shtick. Everybody knew I was a no bottom eyeliner girl. And that's kind of like, that led to one thing led to the next. And then now it's our company hashtag.
It is.
And I do feel like, if you put a little bit of eyeshadow on, it's a soft bronze or a light brown.
A medium
like
tone.
I have on or like you have
Yes.
on, that's okay.
Yeah.
But these women were just hard line, stop, call it a day. And you can't do that. And at least with a little bit of shadow underneath, you don't feel naked. So I challenge you, anyone who's watching that's still wearing bottom eyeliner, I challenge you for 1 week, because it takes about a week
To get
let
used
go
to
of the
the look.
security blanket.
It's true.
And because I used to wear bottom liner. You
I
used to wear
used
bottom
to,
liner
all the time.
And I think if you try a little bit of eyeshadow, you get the same effect, but it's not as hard and it doesn't drag.
Yeah.
And if you're in doubt, put your bottom liner on one side, do it my way on the other, step back, forward from the mirror, and you can't tell me that.
And not even step back, take a picture, because sometimes what you see in the mirror, we just see ourselves differently in a reflection versus a photo. And I did the same thing. I did a makeup facelift video, and it was the exact same concept. One was very hard.
How to do your brow. I remember seeing that. Yep.
And then split the face in half, and you can really see the lifting effect.
Yeah, it
of
literally
letting
feels
it
like
go.
you're just lifted up on the side. Just everything has just been whoop, whoop, like you had a facelift on one side, or tight ponytail.
Yeah, I mean, it's really remarkable. So I'm glad that you stuck with it, and I'm glad that you didn't let all the haters,
The haters don't hate.
don't let them affect you, because
Don't read the comments.
don't read the comments, as we say. So I think that's so cool. That's your shtick, because it's a good one. Shtick, get it? So it makes sense, and it's great, especially for this audience in this generation, to have that kind of reiterated by somebody who's a professional.
And not cover it up. I want women to feel beautiful and still look like themselves. That's kind of like my brand. It is very close to what Bobbi Brown taught me.
Yeah.
I want you to shine through. I want you to feel pretty and just look lifted. So every technique that I teach, actually when I first started, it was Jentry Kelley makeup with a facelift. I was inside of a plastic surgeon's office. It just made sense.
Yep.
Every technique that I teach, like the under eye concealer hammock.
Yes.
Right? How to make your concealer, like, I think you've done it called shape tape or whatever. Was when you used to pull
it up.
Yeah. I teach all of those techniques to make women look lifted.
Yep.
How to not have white face in your photos. How to match your chest and not your neck and not your face and not your arm and not your toe or whatever they told you at the store.
Yeah.
And I think when you nail the art of not looking like you have makeup on, you just look fresher and brighter and just younger.
You've passed along so many great tips that I've loved from you. The first is match your chest, not your face or your neck, because like you, I'll get some sun, so my chest will be a much darker
People say
color.
that, oh, I'm red here. Well, great.
Yes.
That's what you want to match. You don't want your face to be yellow and your chest to be red.
Absolutely.
And stop it with the yellow and green makeup's going to cut your red. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Bobbi Brown had all yellow makeup when I worked for her. No, I would go to Chanel. They had all pink stuff. So I had someone with pink or red skin like you do.
Yes.
You tan more red. You don't tan
yellow. You don't.
Or
and
yellow.
so you look like a mismatch.
Yes. And you got to make sure it's the coverage that
Yes.
hides the rosacea and the redness or the sun damage. It's the coverage.
Right.
Find a tone, warm or cool, that matches your skin. I don't really like to use warm or cool because that's confusing. Red or yellow.
Red or yellow. Exactly. So match your chest was number one. Number two, what I love is that you don't take the foundation and pull it all the way down the neck.
I did that for a long time.
Yeah.
On myself.
Did you? Me too.
And
we
you can
all
see
did.
it when you got in the car of exactly where you stopped.
You
blending.
did. Right. It's the bib. You get the bib.
Yep, the bib.
And on top of it, as we age, it really settles into the lines
When
and
you
the
do
wrinkles.
this, like this,
Yes.
and everything starts cracking here. Bronzer doesn't do that. So that's why I use bronzer instead on the neck. It's powder. It doesn't settle in the lines.
Right. And that's how you bridge the gap between face color and chest color.
Yep, I was doing a video on that today. Yep.
Well, there we go. So those are wonderful techniques that you've passed along. You started with lipstick. I love the fact that when we did our first collaboration, it was on a lipstick combo, the Dominique Be Bold and Dominique Be Blessed. And it was such a joyful, joyful process to work with you in that. You came to me and it's something that I had always wanted to do. Yeah. So it was like this collective
at that very
explosion.
moment, you're like, I was just thinking about the same.
That. Yeah. And so it was wonderful to do that. And I'm really, really happy to tease because we can't say anything really too much, but there's more to come.
Oh,
with you.
I love that.
I know.
Full face, baby.
Yeah. So we've got some exciting things coming down the pike, and we'll be able to talk more about that on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you will be able to see on YouTube. If you listen to this podcast on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to a podcast, please head over to my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe because you will be able to see our latest collaboration that we worked really hard on, but makes total sense.
30, 45 day long wait, but we can do it.
We can do it. We've got this. We've got this. But thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing your story. It is a great story about belief. Mm-hmm. First of all, you had vision, you had tenacity, you had work ethic, and you had grit. You were not going to give up no matter what. And so I'm going to ask you to leave my ladies with any words of wisdom. If they're at a point where they've got something that they want to develop, what would you say to them?
I'm going to say my favorite saying that Sean has ever said to me. My husband is so supportive of everything that I do. He's my biggest cheerleader. He said, what makes you successful is when you come to a roadblock, you find a way around it. When everybody else gives up, you find a way around it. So finding a solution to a problem in the world is the best business idea you can have, right? If you find a solution to something that annoys everybody and you don't stop, even when every roadblock and every hurdle is coming up, you find a way. When everybody else is giving up, you will be successful and you will be a millionaire one day. But you got to keep going. Yeah. You can't stop when times get hard. You can't give up. And, I live by that motto because what else am I going to do? When I said I wasn't ready yet, if I don't do makeup, what else am I going to do? This is truly what brings me joy.
It is. It's your passion.
So as long as this is bringing me joy, I'm staying here.
Yeah. Amen, sister. I loved having you on. I am so proud of you, just as a friend, but as a female entrepreneur and somebody who's created her space. I think you are inspirational and hopeful. And I think maybe for somebody watching or listening today, you are just the kickstart that they need to go and tackle what's been planted in their heart. So thank you.
I hope so.
I definitely think so. Gentry Kelley, thank you, my dear.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you're leaving this podcast feeling inspired. If you have something that maybe you've been wanting to start or maybe not quite knowing where to go or what to do, sometimes just hearing somebody's story and how they did it can spark that little extra drive or that little extra, tenacity or whatever is needed to overcome that fear and take that step. So Gentry's story is amazing. There are so many out there like hers and so many great opportunities to take advantage of. So if God's put something in your heart, I really, really hope that this episode is going to get you to take that leap of faith and do something that is speaking to you. Please, if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You can comment below in the comment section. Let us know what it is that you're looking for in terms of content. We pay attention to that, and we love to hear what you have to say. Also, on either Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen to the podcast, please don't forget, rate, review, subscribe, and share. The more comments, the more reviews, the more you share me, the greater this platform grows. And I only have you to thank for making Over 50 and Flourishing a success. So thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Bye.